Hi, Andre. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Jerry. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you okay, yeah?
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome, man. All right, so we're going to get started. We are recording, and what we're going over today, guys, everyone, welcome. Thanks for coming out. We have 7 steps to listing success with the wonderful Andre Chin. For anyone who doesn't know Andre Chin, he is, how long have you been in real estate now? 11 years? This is your 11th year?
This is my 12th year, so through 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah, quite a while. I guess.
Yeah, and what did you guys do last year? If I recall correctly, it was 1.7 million in GCI last year, and you're expanded in 2 locations currently, right?
Yeah, so 3 locations total. We did 1.7 in gross commission income to our team. We did over 200 units and finished in the top 25 in all of Canada and in the top 1% for all real estate teams in Canada across all real estate companies. We are in Hamilton, we are in Cambridge, and our hub is out of the Kitchener-Waterloo Market Center.
Awesome, man. That's good. And that's a feat in all itself, man. And 11 years in the business, and that's what you've succeeded at. And you're not slowing down, are you?
No, we're just getting started, right? I mean, it's kind of like Gary says, once you figure it out, now you can scale exponentially and continue to grow. So, in addition to coaching agents and then being an approved market center tech trainer, we're also looking at other opportunities, other cities that we can bring our team into, as well as, continuing to grow our opportunities for people within our organization.
Absolutely, man. And you've been a core advocate of mine for many years and watched me grow. And that's the aspects of the aspirations as I grow and look for expansion locations and everything as well. And the course we're going to touch on today, it's a fundamental foundation piece, I guess, of doing real estate is getting listings and securing that business. Right.
100%. And even to that point, Jerry, right now in the current climate, listings are gold, and we're going to see more and more listings come to the market. But if you're not in control of listings, you're really not in control of your destiny. And so, Gary Keller always says, list to last and focus your business on being a listing heavy business. And it's why it becomes most important to talk about conversations like this and to really encourage and to build your business around going after more listings.
Absolutely, man. And exactly right. If we don't have the leads, we don't have the listings, and there's no money coming in, we're not going to last. 100%. So what we're going to go over, man, is we're going to go for everyone else. We're going to go over the 7 steps to taking listings. So step number 1 is we want to book an appointment every day. All right. So what are you doing on a daily basis for lead generation? Have you taken the time to map out what you need to be doing and the numbers you need to hit in order to be successful in making an appointment every day? Are you truly committed to making that appointment every day? Do you do 2 hours of calls, or do you do 5 or 6 or 10 hours of calls to really hit that goal? It really goes in the second step. Don't stop calling until you make your appointment. Mike Johnson out of Hamilton on Sandy McKay's team. Andre and I were talking about it the other day. He actually would stay in the office till 10 hours in office making calls until he hit that appointment within his first year of real estate. And his transaction rate coming out of that was what, 50 transactions for that first year, Andre?
Yeah, he was able to do 50 ends in his first year. And when you talk to a rock star like Mike, he'll tell you he basically got in the office and he wouldn't get off the phone until he found that appointment. So it didn't matter how many calls it took, whether it was 10, 20, 50, or 100 calls, he just kept making them. And that was sort of the passion that he had for his business and for continuing to grow his business. What's interesting about this is not only are we talking about abundant listings, but really with what we're talking about today, if done at an exceptionally high level, you can see anywhere from 5 to 10 listings every single month if you've got this type of dedication over time in your business.
Yeah, and that really comes down to the dedication, the grit that really comes along with it. Because if you could truly, and not even get boring with it, right? If you could truly stand the time that you're sitting in there and then truly get it done, that will come in time. It's just time on task over time that's really going to take you there.
100%. And Jared, to that point, it's that discipline, right? A lot of people get into this. They start, they see minimal success, and then they obviously we get busy and we go back to it. But sort of creating that habit, spending the habit and getting there is what's most important. And it's not about the flashy car or any of these other things or luck. You hear that a lot. People have luck. That's not even really the point of it. It's that grit, as you mentioned, and that dedication.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So going into that grit, what would you say is the number one thing to really hunkering down and getting that appointment a day, especially if you're a newer agent, say you're first 1 or 2 years in the industry, you're really feeling the stress of this seller's market that we're in, and you're having difficulty securing those listings. What would you say is the number one thing to really get that grit and develop that strength?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I found worked really well early on is having somebody else hold you accountable. So, in addition to writing down your goals and having a plan, putting some accountability in place is really one of the things that you can do to continue to make that happen. Making calls, knocking on doors, doing all these things can be lonely, they can be boring, to your point. But it's sort of, I always joke that the fun always came in being able to spend the money I was making. So yeah, I might not be happy picking up the phone for 10 hours today, but when I make that paycheck and when I sign that listing, that's really where the fun starts to happen. So get an accountability partner, get someone that can help you out, script and role play with this person, and then watch each other's businesses grow together.
Absolutely, man. And that's critical. And it really brings me back to even the last webinar that I did was the 6 perspectives. If you actually haven't went to the foundation of why you're truly doing this business and what you're truly going to do with the money that you earn out of this business, you're not going to have the motivation to sit down and make calls until you actually set an appointment. So it really goes down to, why are you here? What are you going to do with that money? How is it going to change your life at the end of the day? Wouldn't you agree?
Well, and when it gets tough, I mean, you have to have a purpose bigger than yourself. And
Yeah.
so, if you talk and focus to any of the top producers in the industry, there's always more than just selling that next house, right? We're either creating opportunities, we're helping our families, we're helping the less fortunate, we're helping other people that are around us. There's always a reason that we have that sort of work ethic and that drive. And so, if you can figure out what your purpose is, and you hear it called the why at times, and sometimes people refer to it that way, but I like the word purpose. So what's my purpose? What am I doing that's bigger than me for why I'm in this industry? And once you can nail that in and spend some time really being real with yourself for why you're doing it or why you want to make 100, 200, 500, or $1 million, whatever that is, it makes getting up every day that much easier. It makes getting on the phone that much easier. And once you really realize that lead generation, no matter the industry you're in, is a critical piece to growing, you kind of get over it and you just do what it takes to make the calls or to do the door knocks or whatever that needs to be in order to hit those listings.
Yeah, it truly becomes the path to success. And when you look at it as the path to success, it'll always be that way. So the difference between greatness and mediocrity on a daily basis is slim, yet the difference in results down the road are tremendous. And this is, if I know, Andre, you just read the 12-week year. I literally am just finishing it off either today or tomorrow. I've got a couple pages left on it, and that book's going to change my business. I know it's really done a lot for you already.
100%. We implemented it about. I read it first around mid last year. It was kind of the hottest book of the year in 2020. And really the purpose here is to stop looking at our world as this yearly thing. So if we chunk it out, if you're a sports person or really any other industry, if you look at this massive goal, one thing is it can seem really daunting, right? I'm going to do 40 transactions this year and it's February and I have nothing on the books yet. All of a sudden that goal seems really, really daunting. Now, if I switch my mindset around it and I say, you know what, I'm going to do 40 this year, but for this quarter, for the next 12 weeks, I'm going to sprint, I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can, and then I get a break. For anyone that's listening, if you've been in real estate for at least over a year, you already know that the easiest way to get busy is to book a vacation. So that's one of the ways you can leverage a 12-week year. You can set a metric in place that at the end of the 12 weeks, I'm going to take a week off. I'm going to book a vacation. I'm going to do something of the sort. But for the 11 and a half to 12 weeks prior to that, I'm going to sprint. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to keep my head down. And then by the time I get to that 12 week, I find out that I'm either on goal or I'm ahead of goal. But even if I'm behind goal, my pipeline probably looks really good. And I'm probably in a position in the second 12-week year, the second quarter, to take it home.
Exactly, man. And if you truly look at it a different standard too, it's not just one goal too. Because if you need to hire that admin to take you to that next level, that is one obstacle or one purpose to in that 12-week year as well. And if you can break that process down into 12 weeks, how much more productive are you while you break down your goals for your listings taken and anything else, any systems or models that you really need to bring out at the end of the day?
100%. 100%.
Awesome.
So, I mean, next up, we talk about the database. And so, coming out of family reunion, looking at the MREA, looking at any real estate coach anywhere in the world, the number one thing they're going to tell you is to dig into your database. Now, it doesn't matter the size of it. If you're listening and you're a brand new agent, pick up your cell phone. If you have an iPhone, scroll to the bottom. It's going to tell you how many contacts you have in there. If you've got a contact in your phone, that means at some point, this person was a part of your sphere of influence. So reach out to them, call them, have a conversation, introduce yourself again, but don't neglect your database. Be simple, be smart, and be human, be yourself, and then provide them with relative information. Now, when we talk about a database, the 4 laws of a database are fairly simple. First off is you want to build it and organize it. So if you're looking at your cell phone right now and you're thinking, I don't know what Andre's talking about. I don't know what Jerry's talking about. We have no idea what's a database. Just start categorizing those people, create some tags, get them into your CRM, get them into Command, and start to organize it based on the people that are going to talk to you. The second piece ties directly into the first one, which is to feed it every single day. Now, when I first started in real estate, I had a really great friend and mentor who was kind of giving me some information on a day-to-day basis. And he used to say to me, every day that I don't generate a contact or I don't find a lead, I was effectively unemployed. And it didn't mean anything to me then, but it means a lot more to me now, where every day that I'm not plugging in someone into our database, I am unemployed. So you got to feed your database daily. Then you want to communicate with it in a systematic way. So for us, if you're in our database, you hear from us almost on a weekly basis at this point in time, if not more than that. We redeveloped our 36 touch and we're now at about 63 touches total. And so between the phone calls, the mail outs, the reverse bolds, and all the different things that we're doing, you're going to hear from us and our team at a very minimum 63 times in every single year. So it's systematic. We know what happens. We know when it's going to go out. And then obviously we're going to service all the leads that come out of it at an exceptionally high level.
Absolutely. And man, for people that maybe don't know what a 36 touch is or a 63 touch, break that down. What is it?
Yeah, so a touch program is effectively, it sounds weird in principle because, you see touch and you think, oh my God, I got to touch this person. It's COVID and we can't touch anyone. But it's more from the side of, I'm going to contact you or communicate with you. So what it's been proven through the MREA is that if I communicate with you 36 times a year and you've got an interest in real estate, I have a really great shot at getting that appointment or being at least on the table. So a very simple way to do it would be a monthly newsletter. So there's 12 touches right away. If I just send you something every single month letting you know what's happening in the real estate industry, I've got 12 of my touches already done. Then you might say, you know what, I'm going to call every 2 months or every 3 months. So I'm going to call my entire database every single quarter. Well, now I'm up to 16 touches. Maybe I'm going to host a client party. There's 17. Maybe I'm going to do a birthday. There's 18. Maybe I'm going to send you some items of value outside of the market analysis. So I'm going to send you tips and tricks on how to get your home ready for winter, turn off the faucets, what's happening in the summer, what's happening in your neighborhood, et cetera, et cetera. And then maybe I'm going to provide you once a year with a unsolicited CMA that's going to let you know what your home is worth every single year. Now, by putting all this together and communicating with these people in my database, I'm probably the only person that they're going to hear from this many times. Now, let me ask you a question, Jerry. How many times does Amazon, you think, email your clients?
Man, if you've done any transaction on Amazon in the last 4 or 5 years, they're getting inundated. And I think they're at least almost once a day or once a week, right? And that's where we're going with this. That's where business needs to go in order to be top of mind, right?
Well, and so Amazon, as an example, their basic package for a touch program, those emails you get that tell you what's relevant or what you searched for, 87 times minimum. So that's just if you buy one thing on Amazon with Amazon Prime.
Guess what they got though? Guess what they got on you too is they've got millions of data points that are going to really pick out the items that you want. So if you're scrolling on something and you just had a baby or something, guess what? They're going to put baby stuff in front of you.
Absolutely.
Right? That's where the industry is going to. Right?
That sort of one-to-one relationship when it comes to your database. And so, but before we jump into the follow-up, because this is also going to be wildly important, you want to make sure that you're communicating what your database wants to hear. So we always talk about, the golden rule, which is to treat people how you want to be treated. Everyone forgets about the platinum rule, which is effectively one step further, which is to treat our people the way they want to be treated. So talk to your database, find out what kind of information they want to receive from you, and then give that to them, because we have all the data already.
I had a great call with my coach this morning, and that was the exact conversation. Is truly, what would it look like if you called your top 50 people and said, hey, what do you want to hear from me? What do you think they'd say? Because honestly, we're in the business every day. We have all these pre-assumptions that they would want to hear this and X and Y, but it's not that. Right? They want hyper local, they want hyper personal, and they want hyper personal local experiences to go along with that, to make them feel like they're your number one at the end of the day. 100%. So let's move on. We'll jump into follow-up as we are on time here. So what do you guys do for follow-up at the end of the day? Now that you've gotten a nurture from a referral, and what do you do? Right? Are you dedicating time in your calendar to actually following up to those nurtures that have been there? Do you have a pipeline or a pipeline report to really show you who's up next? Right? Where do you flow the leads from? If you get a nurture or a lead that's 6 months out, where do they go? What's the next steps? Right? So what we found and what we do personally in my business there is we're scheduling an hour follow-up in each day. And no matter what, we're going through our hot lists, our nurtures, and our watch lists. And we've actually broken down our hot list to be anyone that's in that mark of 0 to 30 days, that's thinking that we'll be getting their house on the market in that next 30 days or so. And what we do there is it's not a call a week or a call every 2 weeks, or hey, call me in 15 days or so. It's literally, we're going to call you 3 weeks. And if we don't answer, we're gonna then call you the next day and the next day and the next day. And the call is literally, hey, just checking in. How's it going? Do you need anything I can do to help you right now before we meet to get your house ready to go? Right?
And Jerry, to tie that back into the database, right? I mean, if you're consistently working your database, you should be setting tags. You should be setting where these people need to hear from you. You should be setting a follow-up task every time you speak to them. You're going to set another task based on where they want to be, in their nurture pipeline and when they need to hear from you. Again, and a simple rule of thumb is if someone says to you, Jerry, you know what, I want to sell this fall, know that you need to be talking to them by at least the end of spring. Like you can't wait until the fall. So you have to put a system in place that tracks your old leads and you call them. And then I love what you said at the end here. End your call by letting them know you're going to call them again.
Yep. And be clear on that too, because a lot of people are not clear on it and they're wondering why you're calling the next time. You're calling half the amount of time before you really should be at the end of the day, right? But statistically speaking, we know that most people are going to move about half the time from what they tell you at the end of the day.
Well, and the gold is in the follow-up, right? So, I mean, every single one of us can probably get more business just by getting better at follow-up. It's amazing to me. It's one of my, I hate doing this at the start of every year, and I do it at the start of every year. This is how purposeful we are to it. We go back through our database and we find our lost opportunity.
What was your number last year?
In 2020, we left over 300,000 on the table.
Wow.
Yeah. By not following up. By missing a task, by not talking to someone, by saying that we did and checking it off when we really didn't get a hold of them. There's so many different examples. But then the flip side of that is someone on our team just signed a listing from someone that she spoke to every single 3 weeks. Call this person from last year, May. And we just signed a listing because of that. And he flat out said, he goes, yeah, I had like 20 real estate agents. You're the only one that's still following up.
That's the beauty of it. And the numbers, but 70 to 80% of your business is going to come from your follow-up. If you're doing any type of source, if you're calling your sphere or you're calling internet leads or cold calling, it's not going to be the first call that you get it. Not at all. Right. And then how predictive can you be in that follow-up? Because even if they don't answer, I've had it where they don't answer for 6 months to a year. And you predictively call every month. Hey, just leaving you a message, checking in. What do you need? Let's talk. And they pick up when they're ready to go. Thanks for the follow-up. I appreciate you trying to get a hold of me so much.
I got a great story about that, Jerry. I've got a listing that I took a few years ago. I generated this lead in my first year in real estate. I never got a call back. I never got anything, but the lead was generated. He was in the 36 touch plan. He was in our follow-up plan. Call him every year, talk to him. Never ever made contact with this said individual for 8 years. I didn't get a hold of him. I didn't get a response. I didn't get a text back. I got nothing for 8 years. And in the 8th year, he called me to list his $1.2 million house.
Nice.
He didn't call me for the $200,000 purchase. He didn't call me for any of that stuff, but he called me on his biggest purchase. And I said to him, why? And he goes, because I can't believe you followed up with me this long that I felt like I needed to give you the opportunity. And it was the best real estate transaction of all of them. So now I've got a client for life.
Yep, absolutely, man. Nice.
So this is another important one. And we get a lot of people that say, I don't think that this works. Now, it's simple in premise. And it's really just posting every single week that you've got a specific buyer looking in a specific area. Make it personal. So who do you know looking to move in Activa? As an example, I've got John and Tammy looking for ABC in this area. Do you know anyone? It's going to do two things for you. It's got to be specific to stop the scroll. But what it's going to do is it's going to show your potential buyers that you never stop working for them, that you're always putting content out to trying to secure them, to trying to find their next home. The second thing it's going to do is going to let your sellers know, or your potential future sellers know, that you have a ton of buyers, that you're always looking for homes for your buyers. And the third thing it might actually do is someone's going to respond and say, hey, I have that house. And now you get to double end a deal where you get to bring in a buyer to a seller and facilitate a transaction. So this is one of the ones that we do every single week. We try not to miss it, but specifically we send it between 1 and 3 on Wednesdays. Jerry, why do you think that is?
Statistics show that most people are looking at social media between that time.
It's hump day. Right? Usually I'm pissed off. It's the middle of the week. I'm starting to drag ass. It's probably snowing outside. I'm a little mad. I'm frustrated. And I'm going, you know what? I'm tired from lunch. I just need a few extra moments to scroll. And it's proven, it's studied by Google and all the major search engine providers that the highest amount of internet traffic happens on Wednesdays between 1 and 3 p.m. just after that lunch hour when everyone comes back. So we're just targeting that. We know you're looking anyway, and we want it to be there. And we've had a ton of people reach out consistently and say, hey, did you find those buyers a house yet? I think I know one that's coming in my area. And then you get that opportunity to go chase that listing. Or you might actually just get that buyer in the home and you've done your job for your clients as well.
How much of a hero do you look to be when you've made that match, and especially in this market where our inventories are under, like they're like 0.2 or 0.3 of a month right now, where people have lost time and time again, right? It's the little things that are going to really change that difference. And you spoke about client for life on the last slide too. This gets you clients for life when you make that match, and truly that's what we are. We're matchmakers on many different levels.
Well, and I love, Jerry, I love asking agents when I coach them, what's your unique value proposition, right? What makes you different than everybody else? And almost every single time we hear the standard response, well, I can sell your house faster. I'm like, okay, well, every agent says that. I can do this or I can do that. And typically all the first 3 responses are the same things that every single realtor says. Now, what if you said, I work harder than every single realtor, so much so that on Wednesdays, I spend my time looking for buyers. On Thursdays, I do follow-up Thursdays, and I spend my entire day following up to look for a home for you. And then you start letting your clients know about all the things that you do on top of what every other agent does. And now you've got a value proposition that sets you apart from everybody else.
The best part is, man, is that is literally a play, not a play on words, but that is just using what most agents already do, but just verbalizing it and setting themselves apart. Because at the end of the day, no one will say that. Not majority of them won't say that, but you're going to set yourself apart by telling them what you're already doing as an agent and what your daily tasks already really look like.
And that's it exactly. And really not overthinking it, right? Yeah. You're right, Jerry. A lot of what we do, a lot of agents are doing, but are they really sharing that information? Are they letting your clients know what it is you're specifically going to do? And then, like we said, what are you going to add to that to set yourself apart from everybody else?
Yeah, and we've talked about that in the last 2 weeks about we're great at doing the business, and we're great at being entrepreneurial and stuff that we do, being purposeful and in the tasks that need to be done. But we are horrible at telling our story. and getting our story across, because that's truly what it is. And if people actually truly knew the story and knew the amount of work that goes into it, especially in markets like this and shifting markets, they wouldn't question our value and they wouldn't question our commission structures anymore.
Well, it's almost a bit of an epidemic, and we're seeing it over and over again. And you're getting agents now that are coming in from other areas, and they're willing to offer and do a deal at a total of 2.5%, but they're only keeping 0.5% and they're paying out 2% to the buyer agent. So not only as a buyer agent has your paycheck been drastically reduced just by someone coming in and doing that, but there's no way that this agent at 0.5% can provide any value to their sellers. So they're actually devaluing the business, and they're devaluing the way people look at realtors. And to your point, Jerry, it's that value conversation again. We have to let our clients know how much value we provide to them.
100%, man. Agreed. Awesome. So we want to connect with, moving forward to Seller Front, we want to connect with the seller every single week. So every seller and potential seller needs to hear from you each week. So we work hard for these listings. Don't just throw them away. Follow up. So once you sign that contract, the following up does not stop there. That goes into customer or client experience. So what are you doing and what's your business doing to really provide a top client experience and really get those referrals at the end of the day? Right? Is there someone that's calling once a week to let them know what happened on that listing? What have you done today? Right? Did you boost a post on social media? Did you talk to 10 agents? Did you get feedback from any agents that showed in the last 2 or 3 days? And especially in this crazy market where our client transaction time has shrunk so drastically, sometimes you're in there for 2 to 3 days. What are you doing through that time that will truly show your value and give that actual experience a 10 out of 10 or a 5-star experience, right? So me personally, like we have two administrative assistants now that are consistently in touch with them. We're creating a new client experience that will provide not necessarily gifts, but where there's an action item of value, like a contract on a home or a pending sale, or we've now secured them a buy. It's not just me that reaches out. There's other people that reach out, they get the contracts, and hey, they get a congratulations card in the mail as well, right? What do you guys do, Andre?
Well, I mean, we're set up very similarly, Jerry, with our client services. But in addition to that, right now the market's great. Depending on where you live within Canada or the US, the real estate's market's one of the best that it's ever been. If you've been in real estate in the last 10 years, you really haven't been in a shift yet. At some point, a shift is coming, whether we realize it or not. And this is going to be even more relevant once we get to that point. So the reason I went here first, Jerry, is what are we going to do when we're sitting on a house for 30 days? Now, most people in real estate can't even fathom that. When I started in real estate, 65 to 75 days on market was average. Like if you sold it in that time, it was wonderful. Like it was one of the best things you could do. Now, imagine talking to a seller every single week for 12 weeks with nothing to tell them. You got one showing a week, nobody's coming to see the house. Yet during that time, I actually got more referrals than anything else. I did more business in less work because we spoke to the seller every single week. We would call them at times and say, hey, I got nothing to tell you, but I told you I'd call you. So I'm a man of my word. I'm going to call you every single week. So we would just keep continuing to make those calls. Now, in addition to that, now we've got our client care representative with Laura. And, even just last night, I was chatting with one of our listings, and she flat out said this has been the easiest process she's ever had in selling their home. The entire team was around them. We had Laura speaking with them, getting them ready. We had the photographer reach out. We had our stager go in. And so every single week for 4 weeks while we were getting ready to list this home, this seller was speaking with us. We've already got our first referral out of it, and it's a $1.2 million listing that we're going to be signing, who is the parents of the seller, because we did such a fantastic job in keeping in touch with them every single week.
Every step of the way, man, is that communication and that building that relationship, especially in a market right now. And yes, I agree, we are always moving towards a shifting market. But where are the opportunities that we can harness in today's market? And it is most likely that prep time. Because when you sign a listing and you have your stager through and you have your photos through, you're like, hey, we're going to take a week and we're going to preemptively market this home. That's your opportunities to build that relationship. Because when you're only on the market for a week or 5 days, you don't get that opportunity as much as you would in a different market, right? And I'm in half the time in 6 years, and I loved it when the days where we could have a house up for 30 days. Even the negotiating aspects with other agents and the relationships you would get into just with talking to other agents throughout the transactions, it was fun. Like this is a high pace and a high turnover market.
100%. Well, and the rule of thumb is every listing, we want to list the last, but every listing that we take should lead to 2 to 3 other pieces of business. So if I'm not spending time talking to these sellers, I'm not necessarily going to get that. So in addition to getting the referral that we got yesterday, we also identified 2 people on the street that let those sellers know, hey, call me when you sell, because we might be thinking about selling too. So we also got 2 other referral pieces of business as well. And so if we can get all 3 of those, that's 3 listings for the price of 1. And well, that's a pretty good month. I would say everyone would take 3 extra listings.
Absolutely, man. Now, and on this note too, is with the current databases that we have for buyers, right? Are you currently getting every listing that you take, and are you currently putting that out to your buyers as well? And they may not necessarily be looking for that type of home, but are you showing your successes and are you telling your story to those buyers that are currently in your database as well? Because that is something that we started doing in the last 6 months, and that's been a game changer, right? Just even keeping your buyers in tune, because the market is so scarce right now. They're still seeing you, their face, and they'll reach out and dial in and they're set a buyer's appointment just for the fact that they've seen them over the last couple of months.
Well, it's funny you say that, Jerry, because we almost think I'm bothering these people, or I'm they're going to get mad at me, or this and that. And I somehow ended up in a top producer's website, just doing some research, doing some market research. And I hear from this real estate agent who's a prominent agent in our area every 3 days. So as I'm sitting there worrying that my 63 times I'm going to talk to you in a year is too much, here's this other top producer that does just a bit more business than we do. And they're talking to me because they think I'm a client every other day.
Wow.
So they're going to touch and can have information to me over 100 times in 2021. And I was concerned that 63 was going to be too much.
That's huge. That's massive, man. All right, we'll move on here.
So for sale by owner, so I got to say the disclaimer first, right? Obviously, if you're for sale by owner and you are listed with another brokerage, we can't prospect to you. But there are a lot of opportunities that you can get. And we also know that the majority of FSBOs, even in today's market, not every single one of those for sale by owners sell. And in fact, almost 95% of all for sale by owners still sell with a real estate agent involved in the transaction in some way, shape, or form. What we love about them is they got their hand up. And they don't just have one hand up, they got both hands in the air. I know this says one hand in the air, it's both. They're ready to sell. There's a sign on the lawn. They've made the decision that they want to move if they can get a sale. So you should be talking to at least one for sale by owner every single day. And you don't have to talk to them about their listing. You can talk to them about going where they're going to go next. So, hey, Mr. Seller, I noticed you're on the market. Have you decided where you're purchasing your home next? I can guarantee you, if they're having a difficult time selling their home and you're the agent that comes along and helps them get into a home, you're about to get a listing, because they're going to take whatever they're doing and they're going to want to work with you in order to get that sale. So make sure that you schedule this into your time, into your calendar, you time block it, and you're ready to go. One of the great ways to do it is, I got a realtor friend at another company, and she does these cute little things where she went and got forget-me-nots. So she went and got seeds called forget-me-nots, and she wrote a little handwritten note: when you're ready to change real estate agents, please don't forget me not. And she drops them off at every single FSBO that she drives by, and she has a little unsolicited CMA with her, and she preps that and gives them the price of what their home actually should be priced at, or what it'll actually go for. And she converts almost one every single month that come back to her and say, hey, trying to go to this company just didn't work. They got paid up front. My contract's over and I'm ready to list with you. And so, we love for sale by owners because they've let you know when it is. And FSBO Fridays is a great day. You can chat with them specifically on Fridays. I like to simplify it, and I just talk to you once a day. Like, I don't need to chase 10 or 12. I just need to talk to one a day that has told me they've got their hands in the air and they're ready to sell with me.
Yeah, and when you do find it for sale by owner too, is we actually have an 8x8 plan and FSBO scripts that are available to anyone on the webinar now, or that listens to it as a recording. Just email myself, Andre, or Jody, and we can get the 8x8 over to you, and the scripts as well. On that note of the drop-offs with even an unsolicited CMA, and in this market, it's a little harder in regards to that, but if we can do more, do you drop a CMA where the potential price could be? One thing that we had started doing back earlier last year was we would actually buy those sample packs of Tylenol. Buyers can be a headache. if you need to talk, give us a call.
There you go.
So,
Something
somebody's
creative
gonna
that
just
nobody
switch
else.
that mindset and remember you by.
Well, and get in a relationship with them, right? I mean, I know one of the things we talk about when it comes to the FSBOs and chasing abundant listings and wanting to have listings in your pipeline. We talk about doing the FSBO deal if you must. Now, I'm not a big fan of cutting commission. I'm not a big fan of that. But hear them out. What's their reason? What's the reason that they had to go this direction? Maybe they could only afford to do 4% because the new home they've overspent on, or they can't qualify for the mortgage, or whatever that may need to be. Take that deal, because if you don't, somebody else is going to stick that sign on the lawn right after you. So take that FSBO deal and get it done. And what you'll find is, as you're building your career, you're going to have to take some shitty deals sometimes, excuse my language, but you're going to have to take some crappy deals in order to get to the point where you can choose who you want to work with.
Absolutely, man. And that really does go back to the questions that you ask, right? And that leads into our next slide here is what questions are you asking during your listing presentation? Or even, we should almost have a slide in here prior to, is pre-qual. What are you doing for your pre-qualifications? What kind of questions are you asking them after you've gotten that commitment for that appointment that will lead you into your listing presentation, right? So, and I'm a firm believer in that scripting and being in that 20% of my business. But are you practicing your listing presentation so it's not like you're practicing on game day when you're going out there to lock down that client that wants to sell? Right. So are you taking that time once a week to actually do that? Are you time blocking that 20% so you know what to say, and writing it out, and even in looking at other language aspects of it, right? The tie downs, or preemptively closing them as well, right?
Well, I love that you said, practice makes perfect, Jerry, and practice not on the seller, right? Because that's what we do, right? We don't practice it. We get in there, we have our first appointment, or we have the seller, and we're effectively practicing the presentation on that seller and hoping for the best. I did that once upon a time. I remember my very first listing, I lost to another prominent agent, and the seller said, hey, you said all the right things, you did all this stuff. He was just more confident and came with that swagger there. That's what it's going to give you. And we still to this day practice our listing presentation every single week, and we consistently make sure that that's time blocked in our schedule. In fact, we script every single day on top of it as well. But if you look at any professional athlete or any great out there, they'll tell you the fight wasn't won in the ring. The fight was won the 6 months of prep prior to that. The championship Super Bowl winning game, Tom Brady didn't win that in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady won it for all his years of practicing way more than everybody else. And if you listen to some of these guys, Michael Jordan's another great example of that, where he's in the gym shooting 1,000 shots every single day and missing probably 5, 6, 7, 800 of those on a weekly, monthly basis. So it's not about doing it for the sake of, oh my God, this is boring and everything else. It's doing it so that you can't get it wrong when you're in front of the client.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so true, man. And that, even at the confidence level base, like me being in the industry now for 6 years, coming out from an independent brokerage into Keller Williams and really engulfing the aspects of the 20%, the confidence level in a conversation shoots through the roof, and there's no question to a close. And it's not even really a close per se. It's just that value comes across the line. It is perceived as value because that's what we're putting it across the line as. And then sometimes there's not even a question about commission at the end of the day. It's right. Hey, this person is confident in what they do. They presented great stats and great reasoning of why this affects the sale. Let's get this going.
Well, it's funny you say that, because what my coach used to say to me is, every time you lose a listing, Andre, every time you've done a presentation and you lost, really what happened is the seller out objection handled you.
Yep.
Every single time. And it blew my mind. I was like, no. They just didn't want to sell. And then a week later, you see a sign on the lawn. But really, all they did is they just out objection handle you. And so if you know your presentation and, some of the stuff that we say through it, I know we use a very similar presentation, the both of us. But, has there been another real estate agent that has mentioned something that I've forgotten to mention today? That's a powerful question. And I can still do that off the top of my head, even though I don't go on a lot of listings anymore. I still know our listing presentation as well as everybody else on the team, because I spent all the years prior to that practicing it on a week-to-week basis and locking it down. When you get to the end of your listing presentation, one of my favorite things in the last listing appointment that I went on and had to do this, they forgot to ask me what my commission was.
Yeah.
So I'm in the car, I'm driving home, listing signed. I pointed it out to them. They signed it anyway and everything else. And I get a text message, hey, I forgot to ask, what's your commission again? At 6%. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Because in the absence of value, price and commission become what's important. But when you deliver that value and you clearly articulate that through your presentation, they don't question paying you your full 5% or 6% or whatever you deem as your commission rate, but it makes your life that much easier. And then you go to work and deliver what you told them you were going to do.
Yeah, exactly, man. And that it's truly is preparation is the mother of skill, right? Practice or preparation, right? So we are going to end it off here. We've wanted to drop to is if anyone wants, anyone on this webinar, anyone listening to the recording at some point, if they want a free business consult with myself or Andre, go over to my website, which is callwithjerryv.ca. callwithjerry.ca, and we got a few time slots open this week and next week, and Andre will make time, and we will jump into those with you guys, and we can go over anything about your business that needs to be worked on. Right, this is along the lines of what we do by running teams and leading people in our organizations and just bettering their life. Right, and that's part of my big why, is to allow people to really step up and just realize the life that they can have and the potential that they don't even know about. Right,
Well, Jerry, I think it's
we're on the
important
same page.
for everyone to hear that, you can be anywhere you want to be probably in about 6 months from now. So if you decided, you know what, I want to become a listing magnet, I want to start to do it, start implementing some of what you heard today, start putting in that time. But like Jerry said, reach out. We didn't get to this point that we are in our careers by trying to do it all ourselves. Jerry, we used to meet on a weekly basis to share ideas and ahas. We've met with agents from the States. We've met from agents all around Canada. I've actually had people internationally reach out, and we've had questions there. And realizing that those business consultations, those somebody else looking at what I'm doing and offering advice, is really the catalyst and the catapult into getting to that next level of your business. So don't feel like, Andre's too big or Jerry's too big, I can't reach out. That's a complete myth. Get on the phone, shoot us a text, get in the email, go to Jerry's website and book some time in, and we'd be happy to spend some time with you going through your business and helping with that consultation to get you on the right track.
Absolutely. And to reiterate that, I am like the outcome of that aspect. The reason we met once a week is because I pushed Andre like 4 years ago when I joined Keller Williams. He was one of the people that I pushed just to go meet with once a week. And after he stopped trying to recruit me, we really got into value. No, I'm just kidding. It's not about that at all. It is about just bettering the other aspect. Because I'm a firm believer, and so is Andre, is that if we can better other agents, even at other companies and their businesses, we're going to better the industry as a whole. Because right now, and the other forces that we face that are trying to degrade our industry, those are greater than having someone at a different company or coming here or whatnot. And that is truly what we need to do, right? We need to collaborate as agents and as an industry as a whole in order to better everyone and survive for the next 5 to 10, 20 years, right?
We all need to do it together, and there's no secrets. One of the beauties about the company that we work for is we've taken the doors off, right? So we're not locking on our rooms and ignoring everybody else. But when we elevate the industry as a whole, we bring everybody up, when all the realtors around us start to do more, we raise the professionalism standards of the real estate industry around us, and it makes our clients more apt to want to have conversations with us. And frankly, Jerry, I love to see successful people. I love to be surrounded by successful people. And there's nothing better. There's no greater gift than to be able to help someone change their life or their career.
Absolutely. To see the changes and see the outcomes. And this is the thing. I had this talk with another agent the other day. It is never instant. Right? You'll have this conversation, but that one conversation would be the change or the catalyst that triggers that minute change, that quantum leap, and gets you moving in the right direction. And then it's 1% a day or 1% a week. But that is the change that needs to happen in order to get there. So anyone that wants to reach out, go to our website, meetwithjerry.ca, and we can get you in a time slot and we can have a half an hour conversation. We'll chat soon, guys.